Welcome back to our Mastt tutorial series. I'm Jake, and today we're exploring the forecast module. So the forecast module helps you track uncommitted costs and contingencies, giving you a more complete picture of your project's financial position. So these are what forecasts look like on the overall page. They're these purple items as well as yellow items. These are the cost components of risks, and they're also considered forecasts. And all forecasts are considered essential for projecting your final costs accurately and ensuring you have visibility of all potential expenses, not just contracted amounts. So the forecast module, just over here, it's designed for tracking several types of financial projections. So you've got your uncommitted costs, which are your anticipated expenses not yet contracted, like a contract with a builder and you've not signed the contract yet. You've got your contingencies, both project and client contingencies, which are reserved for unforeseen costs. And then you've got lots of risks, and these are cost impacts that have been sent through from the risk module. Now, all forecasts will appear in this uncommitted column in the overall page, and they impact your forecast final cost or your estimate at completion, and they provide a more complete picture of the project's financial position. But only active forecasts will impact your FFC or EAC. Now, there's multiple ways you can go through and create a forecast. You can either hit the add button on the overall page, 3 dots, and add a forecast underneath the budget, or go to the forecast page and hit add forecast. Exactly the same, you'll get the exact same form. Now, all you need to do, firstly, enter in a name for your forecast. Best practice is to accurately describe exactly what the forecast is for. Then you've got your type, as mentioned, uncommitted, client contingency, and project contingency. Risks only come from the risk module now. So if you want to have a risk provision forecast, you need to create the risk and toggle on the cost module to be sent through. Then you got this status. So closed, it means that it is done. Right? The forecast has either been exhausted or is no longer relevant. Draft it's a preliminary forecast. It doesn't affect your financial reports yet, but it's still in progress, being built. And then open. This is a forecast that impacts your actual financial reports. And so that is what an open forecast is. And now you've got these 3 bits here, and these are all linked. You've got the starting amount, then you've got the likelihood percentage, and then the current amount. Or if you've got a contingency, starting contingency, likelihood, current contingency. The way that you would deal with these is slightly different. So for example, if you've got an uncommitted cost, you might have a starting amount of $10,000, but it's only a 80% likelihood that it is going to occur. And so what that will do is that will create a forecast only for $8,000. Or if, say, for example, you say contingency, this will be more of a drawdown. So you'll start off with a $10,000 contingency, and as you go through and you use up your contingency, this will be reduced as you go down. So it'll go, and then that way it will go through and accurately reflect exactly how much of your contingency is left. And so as you update, say, stuff like likelihood, it will update current contingency / current amount and vice versa, just as a way for you to track exactly how much is left. And then you've got the budget dropdown. This is where you can go through and say exactly where you want the forecast to appear in the budget hierarchy, which budget it is applicable to. That's basically what it's there for, and we'll have your full budget there. And as always, you can also just search for specific budgets through there. Now, the next thing that we do have is these notes field and also an attachments field. Now, notes is really quite important because this is where you can go through and put in information about why the forecast has been created, or you can track the drawdown against the contingency, for example. So that is what that's really useful for. And then you've also got the attachments where you can upload documents that show, hey, this is the reason why we created the forecast, or this is the reason why we drew down on this forecast. So that allows you to go through that. Once you're done, you just go through and hit on add, and that will create the forecast for you. Once you've got the forecast there, I'll just cancel out of that. Once your forecast is there, as always, you can go through and click on the 3 dots next to the forecast in the forecast module or on the overall page. You can go 3 dots and you can edit the forecast. And you can update any of the fields we just covered. So if you're drawing down on the contingency, you can do that. If you are reopening a forecast or closing a forecast, you can go through and update that. So one of the really important things that we like to mention, best practice, is that when a forecast is no longer needed, maybe the cost has already been contracted, risk is passed, the contingency is exhausted, you should close the forecast instead of deleting it. So as you can see, project contingency, this one actually is in my contingency budget, just there, at $98,000. If I were to go ahead and let's say that is exhausted, I come in here, edit it, and I will go and close it. And what that will do is that will now no longer have any more impacts on my forecast final cost. That's all gone. But it's still here. I still have a record of the fact that it existed, all its history, and it maintains a historical record while removing the financial impact. And you can still see it in the forecast module, in forecast tiles on the dashboards. If you were to go 3 dots and delete it, it will be gone. So that is, we generally don't recommend deleting it, forecast unless it's been created in error or it's been duplicate or something like that, because once it's deleted, it's gone. So that's the reason why we always recommend that. Now, down here, we've got this little yellow R. This is a risk that has been sent from the risk module to the cost. And so this is the cost impact, and it will just show through here. All these risks are managed in the risk module, but like they impact the financial forecasting like regular forecasts. The cost impact appears here. So just bear in mind, you actually can't edit them directly from the forecast page. If you click on it, it will say go to risks. It will direct you to the risk module, and that's where you can make all the changes. So yeah, that's the forecast module. That's how you manage forecasts in Mastt. By tracking all of your uncommitted costs and your contingencies, you maintain a more complete picture of your project's financial position and can make more informed decisions. Always a good idea to regularly review and update your forecast as your project evolves to make sure your financial projections remain accurate, especially if you're moving from one phase to another. And then in our next video, we'll be looking at payments and how to add and manage payments in Mastt. Thank you so much for watching.